Chapter 1. The day Baby Bookworm got scared of a sandwich. Baby Bookworm was sitting in his crib at preschool, quietly watching the other children play. Blocks tumbled, crayons scribbled, and laughter echoed through the room. Everything seemed calm, ordinary, until Nurse Debbie leaned over to Nurse Emma. "Did you know about the movie that came out last week?" she asked. "What movie?" Emma replied, curious. "Attack of the Killer Sandwiches Part 2. I'm taking Kylie to see it. I was wondering if you could come over and watch Baby Bookworm for me this weekend," Nurse Debbie said. Emma smiled. "Sure, I'd be happy to." Then Nurse Debbie added casually, "Did you know they're showing the first movie down the hall?" At that moment, Baby Bookworm's eyes went wide. A little shiver ran down his tiny tail. He felt something tickle the back of his spine, a mixture of curiosity and dread. Without a second thought, he wriggled out of his crib, ninja style, and crept across the playroom floor. Quietly, quickly, he slipped out the door and streaked down the hall. Ahead, the older kid's room door was wide open. Baby Bookworm peeked inside. On the screen, gigantic sandwiches with razor-sharp teeth and slimy wriggling tongues loomed over cartoon characters. The sandwiches' tongues shot out, grabbing anyone who came near, yanking them in, and devouring them whole. The poor characters became part of the monstrous sandwiches, disappearing with a squishy plop. Baby Bookworm's eyes went wide, and he felt his skin crawl. He shivered so hard he thought he might turn white. He wanted to hide. He wanted to scream. Toward the end of the movie, a voice boomed, "Who let the baby in here?" That was all the warning Baby Bookworm needed. He turned on his tiny heels and bolted. Feet pounding, tail flying behind him, he dashed back down the hall, into the nursery, and leaped back into his crib like a little green cannonball. He grabbed his soft, pastel blanket and pulled it over his head, trembling violently. "Keep it away from me! Keep it away from me! It's going to eat me!" he screamed, muffled under the blanket. Nurse Debbie and Nurse Emma peeked in, alarmed by the noise. They saw the tiny figure wriggling under the blanket, shaking from head to toe. The sight was so frantic, so utterly terrified, that they couldn't help but exchange a glance. Baby Bookworm didn't notice them. All he could think about were the teeth, the wriggling tongues, the sandwiches, the evil sandwiches that were definitely coming for him. And so, wrapped in his blanket, eyes wide and heart racing, Baby Bookworm stayed huddled in his crib, utterly convinced that the monstrous sandwiches from the movie were just around the corner, waiting to gobble him up. Chapter 2. Baby Bookworm and the Living Sandwiches. Ever since that terrifying movie, Baby Bookworm saw sandwiches everywhere. A slice of bread on the floor became a towering monster. A peanut butter sandwich on a plate morphed into a creature with razor-sharp teeth and wriggling, slimy tongues. Every moment, every glance, every crumb made his imagination ignite, and for the split second that he truly saw it, it was real. At preschool, the other children didn't see monsters. They just saw Baby Bookworm dashing across the playroom, arms flailing, blanket trailing behind him, screaming at invisible enemies. Nurse Debbie watched from the doorway, unsure whether he was playing a game or genuinely terrified. "Emma, do you think he's—" Nurse Debbie whispered. Emma shook her head. "I don't know. I think he's scared of something." Baby Bookworm zigzagged down the hall, past the snack table, and up a flight of stairs, imagining a sandwich chasing him. His tiny legs carried him as fast as they could go, his tail puffed up like a frightened squirrel's. To him, the sandwich loomed taller with every step, tongue lashing, teeth gnashing. To everyone else, he was just sprinting. Nurse Debbie decided it was time to ask for backup. She hurried down the hall to Mr. Jack's classroom. "Mr. Jack," she said, worry in her voice, "could you come help Baby Bookworm understand that it's just a movie?" Mr. Jack nodded thoughtfully. "Well, Jonathan Mitchell might be able to help. He's clever with kids, and he's good at explaining things, though he does like to joke sometimes." When Nurse Debbie returned to the nursery, Jonathan sneaked over to Baby Bookworm. At first, he spoke in a calm voice. "It's just a movie, Baby Bookworm. It's fantasy. It's not real." Baby Bookworm blinked, unsure if he should believe him. But then, when Nurse Debbie looked away, Jonathan leaned in close and whispered, "Actually, it's a documentary. It really happened. Sandwiches came to life once." Baby Bookworm's eyes went wider than they'd ever been. His imagination exploded. The sandwiches were real. They had attacked. They could come for him at any moment. He bolted, wriggling under his blanket, his tiny heart hammering. By the end of the day, Nurse Debbie had scooped him up, blanket wrapped tightly around him. Baby Bookworm clung to her like a tiny, trembling koala, peeking over her shoulder every few seconds to make sure the sandwiches weren't following. Every streetlight became a sandwich eye, every shadow a wriggling tongue. When they got home, Mama entered after talking with Nurse Debbie. "Do you want your sandwich tonight, Baby Bookworm?" "No, the sandwiches are evil," he yelled, shaking his head. "Do you want anything to eat?" she asked. "I'll eat a salad," he said. Kylie laughed from the doorway. "Salad? You hate vegetables. How are you going to eat a salad?" Everyone shrugged. Baby Bookworm, overwhelmed by terror and confusion, buried his head under his pillow. Mama patted his back, trying to soothe him to sleep. That night, Baby Bookworm dreamed of a sandwich creeping into his room. Green olives peered from its top like bulging eyes, its mouth opened wide, roaring like a lion. Baby Bookworm jumped 3 feet out of bed, fully awake, and bolted down the hall, diaper flying off behind him. He ran into the street, screaming at the top of his lungs, "The sandwich is going to eat me! The sandwich is going to eat me!" Nurse Debbie woke just in time, rushing after him in her nightgown. She found him huddled in the Polaris, gripping the captain's seat, eyes wide with terror. She quietly climbed in beside him and stayed there, holding him close. For Baby Bookworm, the only safe place in the entire world that night was the little starship cockpit, and with Nurse Debbie by his side, he finally felt the tiniest bit of relief. Chapter 3. Baby Bookworm versus the Sandwiches. Baby Bookworm refused to leave the Polaris. No matter how many times Nurse Debbie coaxed, pleaded, or promised, he clung to the captain's seat with all his might. "The sandwiches are going to get me if I go outside," he cried. Tail curled around the seat. Nurse Emma peeked in, worry on her face. "Debbie, we've got to get him to school. I don't know what to do either." Just then, a man who worked with Mama appeared. "If you want, he can stay with me today," he said. "I'll be working on the Polaris all day. I might even be able to coach him out of this delusion. His mama told me what happened. I'm sure I can help." Nurse Debbie and Nurse Emma looked at each other, relief flooding their faces. "Okay," Debbie said. "Call us if you need anything. We'll be in class." "Little Bookworm," the man said gently, kneeling beside the captain's chair. "I hear you're scared of a sandwich." "They're dangerous," Baby Bookworm shouted. "I watched the documentary. They attacked people at one time." The man's eyes twinkled as he realized what had happened. He knew exactly which boy had tried to prank Baby Bookworm at school. Sitting down beside him, he decided to spin a yarn to counter the fear. "So, Baby Bookworm, do you know what happened during the Sandwich War?" the man asked. "Yes, they ate all the humans, and little worms like me," Baby Bookworm yelled. "No," the man said, leaning closer. "We learned how to fight back." Baby Bookworm peeked over the edge of the captain's chair, wide-eyed. "Fight back? How?" "Well, you know what they are, right? The sandwiches?" "Yes." Baby Bookworm nodded eagerly. "You know what they really are?" the man asked, lowering his voice. Baby Bookworm shook his head. "They're food," the man said. "But they're scary, yes. And if you let them take control, all you'll ever be is scared. And if you're too scared, they might come back." Baby Bookworm's little face scrunched up. "I don't want them to come back." "Exactly," the man said, smiling. "That's how we learned the trick to defeat them." Baby Bookworm grabbed his shirt. "Can you teach me the trick? Please. I want to fight back." The man nodded. "Yes, I can cast a magical spell that will give you the power to defeat them." He whispered some strange words. "Hocus pocus, Alan McGee, Joy Joy Floyd, pa-poof." Then he touched Baby Bookworm gently on the head. "Now," he said, "whenever you see a sandwich, all you have to do is run up to it and take a bite. Bite it before it bites you and you win. And if you win, you can eat the sandwich, but only your own sandwiches. Never eat sandwiches from other people, understand?" Baby Bookworm's eyes sparkled with determination. "Okay, I can do that," he said. With newfound courage, he returned to the classroom. It was almost lunchtime. When the plate of sandwiches was set before him, Baby Bookworm dove in without hesitation. He bit into the sandwich, chewed, and swallowed every morsel in seconds. Then he moved on to an apple, then drank his juice, all with triumphant glee. Nurse Debbie and Nurse Emma watched in astonishment. "What did you do?" Debbie asked. "I beat a lie with a fib," Nickel Jr. said proudly. "But don't tell anyone." That evening, at home, Mama brought in a salad. Baby Bookworm grimaced. "Ew, salad! I want a sandwich!" Just then, Nurse Debbie appeared with the same barbecue beef sandwich style he had before. Baby Bookworm's eyes lit up. He grabbed the sandwich with all his might, ripped into it with his little gums, and devoured every last morsel. "I win! I win! The sandwich will not defeat me! I defeat the sandwich!" He yelled, jumping up in bed. Mama gave him a little kiss on the forehead and wiped his mouth. "Okay, time for bed," she said softly. That night, Baby Bookworm dreamed of sandwiches with sharp teeth. But this time, he was the master of his dreams. He chased down every sandwich, cornered them, and defeated them one by one. Kylie lay in her bed, watching her little brother talk himself to sleep as he triumphantly conquered every sandwich that dared to appear. And with that, Baby Bookworm finally knew. The sandwiches could no longer scare him, not in his dreams, not in his playroom, not anywhere.